Today, however, very, very pleasant reading. 73 up in the Goodland area, 72 at Garden City, 70 reported by Dodge City and Liberal, 72 over by the good folks.
I think we're going to have pizza for dinner tonight, so we start by making dough. 1.5 cups of a little more than lukewarm water. Yeast. 1 cup measuring cup. Regular white all-purpose flour. Olive oil. And salt. In our mixing bowl, we're going to add 4 cups of all-purpose flour. Now somebody's going to tell me weight is better and all that, but I'm just kind of old school. In fact, I'm not even going to make it perfect. I'm just going to... And this will make about 4 medium-sized pizzas with a good thin stretch. Take our salt and just add some salt to this. I like to be a little liberal because I like the dough to taste good. And we're going to let this sit for a few minutes. While this yeast is sitting, you should notice that it almost looks like it's moving or swimming. Go ahead and just... And if you watch that here and there, it'll stir. And that's because it's alive. Yeast is actually a fungus. And it's a living organism, which is why you can't have your water be too hot. You don't want it cold because it'll kind of slow down its growth. But those little bubbles, those are from the yeast starting to consume the sugar. So we're just trying to give the yeast a chance to get going. You know, come to life before we start mixing it up with everything else. But alright, at this point our yeast is going. We're going to take some light olive oil. I want to add a couple tablespoons. Now I'm a little liberal with this. You get quite a bit of flavor from oil. It also makes the dough into a consistency that I'm looking for. I like a little bit denser dough, something that doesn't get so quite airy and bready. It's just personal preference, and this is the recipe that I've come with up to this point in time. So let's come over here. We're going to go ahead and add our bowl to the KitchenAid and hook up our dough hook. And we're going to get our solution ready. Now you just want this to be on low on the first setting. And we're going to start adding the liquid. Now I'm going to go ahead and add it all because I know that it's going to consume everything there, that it's going to get a good mix. If anything, I'll have to add a little bit of water.
For the western half of the U.S., rain showers and thunder showers along that frontal system, then that wide band of fairly heavy snows. Now what will happen each time that you see the frontal system on there, that begins at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Now what we're looking for, we want it to be, you know, sticky, but not wet. We want it to be well incorporated, but not super wet, so it is a little sticky. But I think we're there. Alright, now we can take just a little bit of oil, just kind of get some on our hands, so help the dough not stick to us so much. And we're going to get the dough off of this kneading hook. Set that aside. Now personally, I like to just take a look at this dough. Some people will just let it be right here the way it is, and actually it does feel pretty good. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a quick knead here. And this for two reasons. First is just to make sure everything is really good, well mixed, incorporated. There we go. Just until it's smooth. Make a nice ball. Now this is still going to come together a little more because as of yet it has not risen. This is just a wad of almost useless stuff. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple teaspoons of oil and we're going to coat our bowl. And this is just to prevent sticking. And I'm just going to use my hands for this. And this dough should about double in size. We're just going to drop that in there. We're going to set some damp towels over top of that bowl and we're going to let it rise. Very important to keep your workspace clean, so clean as you go. And it won't be too bad to clean up at the end. And I'd say that is doubled in size. Time to portion it out. These are going to have one more rise, so we cover them with that damp rag again so that they don't get skin on top.
Parker City, Blackwell area, 68 degrees today. Winds southerly at about 15 with gusts of 25 miles an hour. Barometric pressure 30.00 and is rising.
Alright, so now that you've been watching, let me explain what's going on. We're going to start by taking one of our doughs. I'm just going to throw it down here, throw a little flour on top. Alright? Then what we want to do is press it down. We're trying to squeeze the air out of it. Okay? Now some people, they like to spank the dough, whatever you like. Okay? You want to make sure there's good dusting flour to work with underneath of us, and then we got a little bit on top too. And then what you do is you just take your fingertips and you're just trying to kind of press out from the middle. Okay? You're not going to get a ton of stretch this way, but you're going to get it started. And you're going to start on that little bit of dough around the outside. Now, once you get it to a point, you just take your hands, and I'm not pressing real hard, it's just enough pressure to get this to kind of stick on the top but still slide on the bottom. You take your time with this. And I'm just stretching a little bit at a time. Not too much all at once. And what you're trying to get is a good thin consistency, at least for what I'm doing. I want a nice thin crust. Okay, now this is something it just takes time to get used to. You start to see where the dough's getting just to that point where it might start wanting to break, like these areas. And you don't want to push it to that point, but if you do, you saw me earlier, you get a little hole. Here, let's make one. Boop. You just want to kind of pinch that together. Close up that hole so the sauce doesn't come out. Okay? There we go. We're going to let that sit there for just a moment while our pizza stone comes out of the oven and reheats. Now what I'm doing here, I want you to keep in mind, I do not have a pizza peel, but I need one. So I'm taking my pizza stone and I'm just sliding the pizza off, and I'm putting the stone back in the oven to reheat. Okay? Now some people will take these and they'll start trying to cut them right away. I like to let them rest. Now this pizza is a white pizza. It's got some olive oil in it, but no sauce, no red sauce. Okay? I didn't put any white sauce either. So just keeping it light, same blend of cheeses. I like using a little Parmesan now. I like to use this stuff, but this works just as good. And then you need your obligatory mozzarella. And then I like to top with Colby and Monterey Jack. I think that's the best blend of cheeses. At least, you know, that's my preference. So, we'll be back in just a minute. Alright, what we're going to do now, we're going to take our preheated pizza stone out of the oven. The stone needs a little bit of a clean, but it'll be alright. Now I'm going to take the dough that we stretched out and I'm going to flip it onto the stone. This part's a little tricky. This would be great if I had a pizza peel, but I don't. I'm just going to try to position it on the pizza stone, and here and there a piece will hang over like that a little bit, and I don't worry about that too much. Now you're going to see that dough start to puff up already. It's cooking, and that's what you want. Like I'll show you in a minute why. Now you take your sauce, and you just want to ladle, you know, a good amount. Now that you got to play by ear too. You got to kind of decide what you think a good amount is. I like 2 of these size ladles for a pizza this size. That's because I don't like a ton of sauce, but I like a good saucing, right? Now I'm going to push it just lightly. I'm just kind of floating the ladle across the dough. Okay? Good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect, because once that gets hot and molten, it's going to start spreading itself around. I'm going to use the remainder of the Parmesan I have here, the shredded. Then I'm going to go to this stuff just to get a little more on, because you watch a pizza shop, they put just a little bit of this on. I like a little bit more than a little bit, right? Now earlier you saw me putting provolone on it. I like provolone, but I ran out. So in lieu, we're just going to use our mozzarella and Monterey Jack, Colby Jack, whatever mix. Okay, so I'm going to start with that. Keeping in mind, I'm going to put about the same amount of the other type on, of this Colby Jack. Now some people like more cheese, some people like less cheese. You can actually have too much cheese on these, and then it's just, there's no balance. So, and I'm borderline right there, because these kids that I'm making this for like cheese. Alright, now once that melts and comes all together, it'll be delicious. This is optional, but I'm going to give a shake of just Italian seasoning. And then I'm going to sneak into this one just a shake of red pepper flakes. Now, you don't have to be in a huge hurry when you're doing this. You just don't want it to take a half hour either. And again, pay no mind, you actually want that crust to be cooking just like it is. That's what's going to make the crust nice and brown. So, while that's going on, let's take a look at what I'm talking about here. So you're going to see, what you want to see is this, where you have a nice brown crust, but not just on the top, on the bottom, and it should have a little bit of a crunch to it. Okay, now the longer it sits there, it won't quite have the crunch, but that's what you're looking for. That's delicious, and that's what people want to eat. So, hopefully with that little bit of instruction, you guys can go ahead and get on with your own pizza making, and maybe you've come to realize making your own dough isn't that hard, especially once you realize the control you have over it and what that can do for the dough. You know, if you like it more like crackery or crispy, or whether you like it airy and doughy, whatever you like. So, good luck, pizza makers.
We'll be looking for a little bit of a change tomorrow, and of course the possibility of some scattered showers. Today, of course, there's nothing showing up on the radar. However, the satellite photo was pretty interesting for the western half of the U.S. Rain showers and thunder showers along that frontal system, and that wide band of fairly heavy snows. Now, what will happen each time that you see the frontal system on there, that begins...